The pot roast sits untouched on my plate as Mother circles the dining table, topping off water glasses with practiced precision. Sunday dinner at the Phillips household unfolds with its usual choreography. Crystal goblets catching light from the chandelier. The heirloom china gleaming against the dark wooden table that's witnessed 3 decades of family tensions disguised as togetherness. Father checks his watch. Naomi should be here by now. You know your sister, Mother says, her eyes flicking toward me, always running on her own schedule. I nod, not trusting my voice. Every Sunday since my promotion I've shown up for these dinners, hoping something might change, that my parents might finally see me, really see me without comparing me to their perfect younger daughter. The front door swings open, followed by the familiar click of heels on hardwood. Naomi sweeps in, wind-blown and laughing, her entire body projecting the carefree confidence that comes from never facing consequences. Sorry I'm late. She tosses her purse onto the sideboard, narrowly missing Mother's prized crystal bowl. My stomach tightens when I notice what dangles from her finger. A key ring with a distinctive cobalt leather tag. My key ring. To my car. Father beams. Did the interview go well? Scene 2. Naomi drops into her chair. The manager said I had excellent qualifications. Of course you did, Mother says, serving her a generous portion. We're just glad you had reliable transportation today. The room tilts slightly. I set down my fork with deliberate care, the sterling silver making a soft clink against bone china. Did you take my car without asking me? My voice emerges low and measured, each word carefully placed. Naomi rolls her eyes, twirling the keys before tossing them beside her water glass. Oh please. It's just sitting in your garage most days anyway. That's not an answer. Father's face hardens. Family helps family, Addison. Naomi needed to make a good impression today. My mind flashes to this morning, reaching for my spare keys on the hook by the door, finding the peg empty. I'd assumed I'd misplaced them, never imagining someone would simply take them. You could have asked, I say. Mother's smile tightens. Honestly, darling, it's not as if you were using it. The familiar dismissal stings, but this time beneath the sting lies something darker. A slow-burning fury I rarely allow myself to feel. 3 months ago I stood in a boardroom wearing my best charcoal suit, presenting the culmination of 18 months of work. 8 men in similar suits stared back, skepticism gradually giving way to grudging respect as I walked them through the proposal. When the final signature hit the contract, $3.5 million, I knew exactly what I would do with my commission. The dealership had called it midnight blue. Though under certain light it seemed almost black. Leather seats that smelled like possibility. The salesman's surprise when I paid the down payment without hesitation, without a husband or father beside me to approve the purchase. First thing I've ever owned that wasn't used or discounted. I told Linda over celebratory drinks, showing her pictures of my new sedan. I earned every inch of it. Now Naomi studies her nails, oblivious to what she's taken. Not just a car, the physical proof that I've finally escaped the shadow of family expectations. I've been meaning to ask, Naomi says, cutting into her meat. Could I borrow it again next weekend? There's this networking event in Boulder and... No, the word emerges before I can soften it. Mother's fork pauses midway to her mouth. Addison, don't be selfish. There it is, the familiar pattern. Naomi takes. I sacrifice. My parents referee, always ruling in her favor. You have your own car, I say. That old thing? Come on. I'm trying to make connections here. Father sets down his napkin. Your sister is trying to get her career started. The least you could do is help. My career started with student loans and 2 jobs, without family connections or borrowed luxury. But saying so would only label me bitter, jealous of my sister's effortless charm. The story never changes, only the details. By the way, Naomi adds, spearing a carrot. Some idiot in a parking lot scratched the passenger door. Nothing major. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Then again and again. I slip it out, breaking Mother's no phones at dinner rule, and feel my blood freeze. 6 notifications from colleagues. All variations of the same message. Beautiful car. When did your parents buy it? I open Instagram and there it is. Naomi posed beside my midnight blue sedan, manicured hands splayed across the hood, her smile wide and proud. The caption reads, Thanks mom and dad for the amazing gift. Blessed new car family support. 23 likes for comments from mutual friends. Posted 2 hours ago. I set my phone on the table, screen up so they can all see it. The room goes still. We need to talk about boundaries, I say, my voice steady despite the rage building behind my ribs. The time for sacrifice has ended. Father waves his hand dismissively at my phone screen. It's just a social media post, Addison. Don't be so sensitive. She just wants to feel successful like her big sister. Mother chimes in, dabbing her napkin at the corner of her mouth. Is that so terrible? I look at Naomi waiting. Her shoulders rise and fall in a practiced shrug. I'll delete it if it's that big a deal, she says, not meeting my eyes. But everyone already saw it, so what's the point? The casualness in her voice makes my skin burn. I take a slow breath, keeping my tone even. Show me the scratch. What? On my car. The scratch you mentioned. I want to see it. 2 minutes later we stand in the driveway. The scratch isn't just a scratch. It's a foot-long scrape with traces of red paint embedded in the midnight blue surface. Not from a parking lot. From a fire hydrant. You sideswiped a fire hydrant. The words taste like metal in my mouth. Were you texting while driving? Naomi's eyes dart toward the house where our parents wait. Does it matter? Insurance will cover it. My insurance. My premiums. Back inside, I scroll through my phone, heart pounding harder with each swipe. Not just one post. 5 spanning 2 weeks. Naomi at a restaurant valet stand. Naomi at a country club. Naomi showing off her new car to friends outside an upscale bar. My mind flashes back to high school. Me at 17 opening the thin envelope from Stanford. Full academic scholarship. Mom glancing up briefly from preparing Naomi's sweet 16 party. That's nice, honey. Can you hang these streamers? 2 hours later, Dad rolling into the driveway with a red Volkswagen, keys dangling. Happy birthday, princess. Naomi squealing while I taped decorations for a party I wasn't invited to join. College years spent working the campus bookstore mornings, waiting tables nights, parents' contributions $600 per semester for books. Meanwhile, Naomi cycling through 3 different universities fully funded before dropping out completely. College isn't for everyone, Mom said, patting Naomi's hand. My sweaters disappearing from my closet. My jewelry borrowed, never returned. My first apartment spare key suddenly missing after Naomi stopped by to see the place. The pattern stretches back through decades, visible now with painful clarity. I place my phone face up on the table and stand. The dining room falls silent as I rise to my full height, suddenly aware of how I tower over my seated family. This car, I say, my voice quieter than I expect, represents the first major purchase I made for myself with money I earned from a job I've worked 80-hour weeks to excel at. Mother's eyes fill with tears. Father's jaw clenches. I paid for my college. I paid for my apartment. I paid for every single thing I own. Each sentence lands like a footstep, advancing slowly across unstable ground. After the Miller contract closed, I chose that car because for once I wanted something that wasn't secondhand, something that represented what I'd accomplished without anyone's help. Naomi examines her nails, but I catch the flicker of resentment in her eyes. And you took it without asking, then lied about who bought it. Mother's tears spill over, transforming quickly to indignation. After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us with accusations and ingratitude. My phone buzzes again. Jessica from accounting. Beautiful car in the post. When did your parents buy it? Must be nice having such generous support. Jessica, who witnessed me stay late every night for 18 months building the Miller proposal. Who brought me coffee during the final presentation, who celebrated with cheap champagne when the contract finally closed. I think about my boss Tom walking me to the parking lot the day after I bought the car. His approving nod as he circled it. You earned every inch of that luxury, Phillips. Nobody handed you anything. At work, respect, acknowledgement of effort, recognition of achievement. At home, dismissal, entitlement, theft dressed as sharing. I reach for my purse with deliberate calm, slinging it over my shoulder. Don't walk away from this table, young lady. Father's voice carries the authority that once made me freeze. We're not finished discussing this. Actually, we are. I move toward the door. What are you going to do? Call the police on your own sister? Naomi challenges, leaning back in her chair with familiar confidence. The confidence of someone who's never faced consequences. I pause at the threshold, turning to face them one last time. 3 faces, 3 versions of the same expectation that I'll bend as I always have. No, I say, fingers tight around my keys. I'm going to do something much more effective. The door closes behind me with a soft click, punctuating my final word like a period at the end of a very long sentence. Later that night, my reflection catches in the window as I pace my downtown apartment. 8 steps from wall to wall. Turn. Repeat. Through the glass, 12 floors below, my midnight blue sedan sits in the parking lot. The scratch on its passenger door visible even from this height. An ugly gash marring the perfect finish. I stop mid-stride, hands balled into fists at my sides. The memory of Naomi tossing my keys onto the dining table burns fresh in my mind. Her casual disregard, my parents' dismissive defense, a family choreography I've danced to my entire life. My desk stands in stark contrast to my restless movement, meticulously organized, each item in its assigned place. Award plaques line the back edge. Regional sales leader, 3 years running. The framed photo of me shaking hands with the CEO after closing the Westridge account. The crystal paperweight commemorating my 5-year anniversary with the company. Achievements earned through persistence, strategy, and sacrifice. Unlike that car, unlike anything my sister has ever possessed. I stop at the window, press my fingertips against the cool glass, and stare at the vehicle below. The realization blooms slowly, then with sudden clarity: I've been approaching this all wrong. If my family refuses to respect my boundaries, perhaps the solution isn't trying to make them understand. Perhaps the solution is to remove the opportunity entirely. I smile for the first time since that terrible dinner. Monday morning, the office buzzes with the start of week energy I normally find invigorating. Today, each good morning feels like an intrusion as I stride toward my corner office. Coffee in hand, briefcase containing the proposal I spent half the night perfecting. Addison. Jessica waves from the break room. That car your parents got for your sister is gorgeous. My husband's been looking at the same model. My smile freezes in place. Thanks. 2 steps later, Mark from accounting. Saw your sister's post. Nice ride. Your folks must be proud of her new job. She hasn't started yet, I say, the words clipped. By the time I reach my office, I fielded 4 more comments. Each one stokes the ember of rage burning in my chest. I close my door with more force than necessary, the blinds rattling against the glass. My assistant Carl knocks tentatively. You have that budget meeting with Mr. Crawford at 10 o'clock. He pauses, studies my face. Everything okay? I straighten my shoulders. Schedule an additional 30 minutes. Tell him I have a proposal that will benefit the company. Will do. His expression shifts from concern to curiosity. Anything else? Clear my afternoon and find out who handles our corporate vehicle fleet. At precisely 10 o'clock, I sit across from Howard Crawford, CFO of New Rock Solutions. I've spent 3 years earning his respect through consistent results and fiscal responsibility. Today I'll leverage that capital. I slide the folder across his desk. Before we discuss the quarterly numbers, I'd like to propose a solution to our client transportation costs. His eyebrows rise slightly, but he opens the folder. I've laid out the numbers with precise clarity. Current mileage reimbursement costs for sales directors over the past year. Maintenance costs for company-owned vehicles. Tax benefits of asset depreciation. Client impression value metrics. You're suggesting we add a dedicated executive vehicle. Crawford flips through the pages, his expression thoughtful. For client meetings and corporate events, I keep my voice steady, professional. We currently spend an average of $1,245 monthly on reimbursements for the sales team alone. A dedicated vehicle would reduce that by 30% while providing consistent branding opportunities. He studies the final page. A photograph of my midnight blue sedan with a mock-up of the company logo subtly positioned on the door. And you happen to know of an available vehicle that meets our specifications? I do. I meet his gaze directly. Whine. Crawford leans back, a smile tugging at his mouth. I wondered when you'd make this kind of move, Phillips. Sir, you've always been strategic. He taps the folder. This actually saves us money in the long run. Smart. Very smart. 2 hours later, I walk out of the legal department with the preliminary paperwork in hand. My car will become company property by week's end. A fair price, full tax advantages, and most importantly, complete removal from my family's reach. Looks like everything went well, says David Chin, my direct supervisor, catching me in the hallway. Crawford's already approved the expenditure. It makes financial sense for the company. David nods and gives you some distance from the family situation. My steps falter. You know about that? I saw the posts. His expression remains neutral. Not my business, but if this helps, you have my full support. By Wednesday, the company mechanic has removed the scratch from the passenger door, the expense absorbed as routine maintenance. Carl has rescheduled client meetings to accommodate the transition, and the legal department has drafted the final agreement. I stand in the underground parking garage beside Walter Jeff, the company attorney, as he reviews the documents. Insurance transfers effective immediately. Walter checks items off his list. Corporate plates will arrive next week. The reserved parking space is already marked. Sure enough, a sign now reads reserved for client relations in the prime spot near the elevator. The midnight blue sedan sits beneath it, freshly washed and detailed. A small magnetic company logo now adorning both front doors. You're sure about this? Walter asks, handing me the final paper to sign. Once it's company property, you can't just take it back. I'm sure. The pen feels substantial in my hand as I sign my name with a decisive flourish. That evening, Linda arrives at my apartment, balancing a bottle of wine and takeout containers from our favorite Italian restaurant. To corporate assets, she says, raising her glass after I've explained everything. Most creative boundary setting I've ever witnessed. I clink my glass against hers. To problems solved. What will you tell them? She dishes pasta onto our plates, the rich aroma of garlic and basil filling my kitchen. I twirl spaghetti around my fork, considering the truth that I no longer own the car. And when they realize what you've done, the anger that's fueled me for days settles into something cooler, more permanent. Then they'll learn what happens when they mistake my generosity for weakness. From my dining table through the window, I can just make out the roof of the sedan in the building's lot below. No longer mine, yet more securely mine than ever before. Sometimes protection requires sacrifice, but for once, I'm not the only one paying the price. On Sunday that week, the late afternoon sun throws long shadows across the driveway as I pull into my parents' house in my old crossover SUV. The vehicle feels comfortably familiar after 2 weeks of not driving it. The worn leather seat molding to my body like an old friend. I pause before cutting the engine, savoring the anticipation of what's to come. When I push open the front door, 3 heads swivel in unison. Naomi stands in the entryway, her expression shifting from boredom to confusion. "Where's the blue car?" she asks, her voice pitched higher than normal. My parents exchange quick glances, the kind they've perfected over 30 years of marriage. Mother touches her pearl necklace, a nervous habit she's had since I was small. Father's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "I drove my old car today," I say, hanging my jacket in the closet. The aroma of pot roast fills the house, the same Sunday dinner menu we've had since I was a child. I take my usual seat at the table, a strange serenity washing over me. For the first time in years, I feel completely in control at this table. Mother serves dinner with mechanical precision, her smile tight around the edges. No one speaks until Father clears his throat. "We've been thinking about your situation, dear," Mother says, carefully arranging her napkin across her lap. Father sets down his fork, his voice dropping into what I've always called his corporate tone, the one he uses when he believes his word is final. "Naomi needs reliable transportation for her job search. The economy is brutal right now," Naomi adds, her voice softening. "Every impression counts." I take a bite of carrots, chewing slowly. They've rehearsed this. I recognize the familiar choreography. Mother opening with apparent concern. Father delivering the verdict. Naomi following with her practiced vulnerability. "We thought perhaps you could add Naomi to your insurance." Mother continues. "Just for when the car is sitting there anyway. You work from home 3 days a week." Father reminds me. "It makes sense for the family." Naomi leans forward, eyes wide and earnest. "I'll be more careful this time. I swear that scratch was totally not my fault." I continue eating quietly, surprising myself with my appetite. The roast is perfect tonight, tender and flavorful. Mother always did know how to cook a good meal. When the plates are cleared and dessert is served, apple pie with vanilla ice cream, they're still waiting for my answer. The silence stretches between us, punctuated only by the soft clink of spoons against plates. Father shifts in his chair. Mother refills water glasses that don't need refilling. Naomi's foot taps a nervous rhythm under the table. I take another bite of pie, letting the sweetness linger on my tongue. For the first time all evening I smile genuinely. That won't be possible. Mother sets down the water pitcher. What do you mean? I dab my mouth with my napkin. I don't own that car anymore. The words fall into a moment of absolute silence. Mother's hand flies to her mouth. You sold your new car already? Another impulsive decision. Father's voice rises with an edge of triumph, as if my actions have just proven everything he's ever thought about me. I shake my head once calmly. I transferred it to my company. It's a corporate asset now. The silence that follows feels thick enough to touch. You can't just do that. Naomi's voice cracks like a teenager's, her composure shattering. Father leans forward, his authority diminishing with each word. What exactly does that mean? Explain yourself. Mother's eyes fill with tears, a familiar tactic that once would have filled me with immediate guilt. We were only trying to help everyone in the family. I reach into my purse and withdraw a folder, placing it on the table between us. It means the car belongs to Philips Technology Solutions now. I use it exclusively for client meetings and business purposes. I open the folder, revealing the corporate paperwork with signatures and official seals. It's already done. Naomi snatches up the papers, scanning them with growing disbelief. This isn't fair. You did this on purpose. Yes, I admit, feeling strangely light. I did. Can they just take your car? Mother asks, looking between father and me. They didn't take it. I proposed the arrangement. I gently retrieve the papers from Naomi's hands. The company pays for the insurance, maintenance, and even the repairs for that scratch. In return, I use it only for work purposes. Father's face reddens. You've always been difficult. But this is beyond. Beyond what? I ask softly. Beyond protecting something I worked hard for, beyond ensuring it's respected. The silence that follows feels different from any we've shared before. For once, I'm not waiting for their approval or dreading their disappointment. I'm simply present, comfortable in the decision I've made. I close the folder with a soft finality that speaks louder than words. Father's face reddens like a summer sunset. The paperwork I've placed on the dining table might as well be written in ancient Sanskrit for all the comprehension flickering in his eyes. He opens his mouth, closes it, then tries again. You can't just. His voice trails off as reality settles in. This is absurd. Mother reaches across the table, her manicured fingers stopping just short of touching mine. Addison, after all the sacrifices we made for you, your father worked overtime for years to put you through college. I nearly laugh at the creative rewriting of history. $600 per semester. Mother, that's what you contributed. I have the bank statements. Well, we would have done more if we could, she insists, her voice taking on that wounded tone that once would have sent me scrambling to apologize. Naomi shoves her chair back with enough force to rattle the crystal. You've always been selfish, always keeping score, always holding on to things. Would you like me to keep score now? My voice remains steady, surprising even myself. The textbooks I bought you for 3 semesters before you dropped out of business school. The rent I covered when you were between opportunities last year. The security deposit on your apartment that you never paid back. The room falls silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. You had opportunities one never got, Naomi says finally. But her voice lacks conviction. 5 jobs in 2 years, Naomi. I kept track. Not because I wanted to hold it against you, but because I kept hoping one would stick. I turned to my parents. And you too enabled every failure. Every time she quit because the manager was mean or the hours were too demanding. You comforted her instead of encouraging perseverance. Mother's lips press into a thin line. Not everyone is built like you, Addison. No, but everyone deserves the chance to build themselves. You never gave her that chance. Father recovers enough to seize control. This isn't about Naomi's employment history. It's about patterns. I counter the pattern where I work and Naomi takes. The The pattern where my achievements become family property while my struggles remain solo journeys. I stand up feeling oddly calm despite the hurricane of emotions swirling inside me. This car was my achievement earned through years of hard work. 18 months of preparation for that contract. Nights and weekends sacrificed. 3 competing firms trying to undercut me at every turn. I tapped the company paperwork. Now the vehicle belongs to my company. It's used exclusively for client meetings and business purposes. The corporate logo will be added next week and the company insurance took effect yesterday. I look directly at Naomi. Even if I wanted to let you drive it now, I legally cannot. It's not mine to lend. Father's face darkens as he processes the finality of my solution. If this is how you treat family, perhaps you should reconsider your place in this family's future. The threat hangs in the air, its meaning clear. You're threatening to cut me out of the will? I ask, more curious than concerned. Your behavior suggests an unhealthy attachment to material things? Mother interjects, her therapist voice emerging. Perhaps you should talk to someone about that. Naomi's eyes fill with tears. Whether genuine or tactical, I can no longer tell. You've betrayed all of us after everything we've done for you. The accusation that once would have devastated me now glances off like rain on a windshield. I've already received my inheritance, I say gently. You taught me to work hard, to persist when things get difficult, to stand on my own 2 feet. That lesson is worth more than anything in your estate. Father flinches as if I've slapped him. For the first time in my adult life, I see uncertainty in his eyes. I gather my purse and car keys from the sideboard. Movements deliberate and unhurried. There's no anger driving me now, just clarity. I love you all, I say, meaning it despite everything. But love has boundaries. Love respects. Love doesn't take without asking. I say it one more time, the words filling the room. Then I walk out the front door, the weight of expectation falling away with each step. The engine of my practical, paid-off SUV turns over with a familiar rumble. As I pull away from the curb, I catch a glimpse of them watching from the window. 3 figures frozen in tableau, suddenly uncertain of the script. For the first time in 32 years, I'm writing my own. Morning sun catches the edge of my new executive vice president nameplate as I arranged the framed photo on my desk. 6 months since that Sunday dinner, and the world has rearranged itself around the word no I finally learned to say. Through my office window, I spot the midnight blue sedan in the company parking lot, now emblazoned with our logo and featured prominently in our spring marketing campaign. The scratch has long since vanished, erased like old habits. Still admiring your handiwork? My assistant pokes her head in, gesturing toward the bulletin board where my promotion announcement hangs. The quarterly reports are ready whenever you are. I nod, running my finger along the silver frame, holding a photo of me beside the car, surrounded by clients after closing the Henderson deal, just thinking about distance traveled. Later, steam rises between Linda and me at our weekly coffee meetup. She stirs her latte, careful not to disturb the foam art. So, your mom texted again? Just checking in. No guilt trips this time. I sip from my mug, no longer bracing for the familiar tension her name once triggered. Baby steps. And your dad? Radio silence mostly, but he signed the Christmas card himself instead of letting mom handle it. Progress, I guess. Linda squeezes my hand. Small victories. Jenna told me Naomi finally stuck with a job past the 90-day mark. The words emerge without their usual bitter aftertaste. Some tech startup downtown. Good for her, Linda says, watching my face for signs of the old hurt. I shrug. Mom asked if we could have dinner. Just the 2 of us. I'm considering it. The evening brings warmth and laughter to my apartment as colleagues gather around my dining table. Crystal glasses clink against china plates I bought myself last month. No heirlooms, no history, just mine. To the new product line, Jessica raises her glass. And to Addison, who somehow convinced that dinosaur of a CFO to invest in innovation. Conversation flows easily without the undercurrents I grew up navigating. When someone asks about my family, I find myself answering honestly. We're finding new ways to connect. On my terms this time. The following Tuesday, Sarah hovers in my doorway, her expression mirroring my younger self. They're saying I don't have enough experience for the Portland presentation. I motion her inside, close the door, but I developed the entire proposal. She says, voice strained. Your achievements belong to you, I tell her, remembering every stolen credit, every dismissed accomplishment. Never apologize for that. When she leaves, I draft a company-wide memo proposing our new achievement recognition program. My fingers tap against keys, building something that matters. The sunset paints Denver's skyline orange and gold as I drive the company car toward the Westfield meeting. In the rearview mirror, I catch glimpses of who I was 6 months ago. Hunched shoulders, careful words, always yielding. The steering wheel feels solid beneath my hands. The leather seats still smell faintly new, despite countless client meetings and company functions. The passenger door gleams flawlessly in the fading light. I slow at a red light, watching pedestrians cross, a woman about my age laughing into her phone. An older man with a briefcase, 2 teenagers sharing earbuds. All of them unaware how something breaks in you at once. Success isn't what you own. I realize, accelerating as the light changes. It's owning your boundaries. Some prices are too high even for family. But some lessons are worth every penny.